Photoluminescence is the light emission for luminescence due to the excitation of photons. So photoluminescence, or it is a temporary it is the phenomena of temporary light absorption due to subsequent light emission, or it is simply called as PL, or we can simply define it as the emission of light from any form of matter due to the absorption of light from another source.
Characteristics of photoluminescence are, you can say this, each photoluminescence substance has its own excitation and emission spectra. In this diagram, you can see there is an excited state with yellow color indication, and there is an arrow mark of ash color. There you can see the emission spectra. And the next point is about the intensity of photoluminescence is directly proportional to the absorption and also proportional to the excitation light. In this diagram, you can see that there is an top line, absorption line, and there is one fluorescence emission line. Absorption line will be more height than the fluorescence emission line.
Important characteristic of photoluminescence are the photoluminescence emission of a substance is always at a higher wavelength than the light used to excite the substance. Now, this phenomena can be explained by Stokes shift. Stokes shift is the difference between position of the band maximum of the absorption and the emission spectra of the same electronic spectra. Now, when we plot the graph between the excitation energy and wavelength, we get the band of absorption and emission spectra. The gap between both is termed as Stokes shift.
Today I want to tell you about the importance of photoluminescence. Each photoluminescence has its own excitation and emission spectrum. The intensity of photoluminescence is proportional to absorption, which is in turn proportional to the excitation rate. You can also use PL to study the crystal defects, such as atomic vacancies and substitutions. This is also particular importance for materials such as diamond and silicon carbide. The intensity and spectral content of the emitted photoluminescence is derived to the measure of various important material properties. It is also used for most important in catalysis process. In spectroscopy, it uses frequency domain information about the excitation and the relaxation process.
And here we are going to highlight a few advantages of the photoluminescence spectroscopy, which are as follows. It is a very sensitive form of spectroscopy, and signals can be detected even at low compound concentrations. Its sensitivity can be increased by using excitation source of greater intensity, by using excitation wavelength of greater absorbance, and also its intensity can be increased by using a greater volume of the sample under consideration. It allows you to measure a very small amount of substance in a given sample, and also it's relatively inexpensive compared to other analytical techniques, and it is widely used as a research tool in a number of researches.
And especially in the research experiments, it is used to measure extremely small changes and especially tracking conformational changes, where you have to track the changes in biochemical compounds and structures. Besides this, it is also in our daily safety measures, comes in our daily safety measures. Like you might have read signboards in the dark, traffic lights, and entry-exit boards. They are all made of photoluminescent material that is radium, termed as radium. What happens is it absorbs photons, the radiations in the daylight, and then radiates them back at the night time when it's dark. So we are able to predict the messages, the signals from far distances. So this is how it more elaborates the way we can live safely in our daily lives. And also, since everything is happening with the speed of photons and light, so it is a very fast means of communication.
We measure of photoluminescence substance. First, photoluminescence intensity. It is the measure of the wavelength weighted power emitted by a light source in a particular direction per unit solid angle. And we can also measure excitation and emission spectra, but that can only be measured for fluorescent compounds.
Can be measured out of photoluminescence substance. First one is fluorescence lifetime. Fluorescence lifetime is measure of time of fluorescence spent in the excited state before returning to the ground state by emitting a photon. The lifetime of fluorophores can range from picoseconds to hundreds of nanoseconds. If a population of fluorophores is excited, the lifetime is the time it takes to for the number of excited molecules to reach the one-third or 36.8% of the original population according to the given formula as shown in the diagram. Second is anisotropic. Anisotropic can be measure the binding to constant and kinetics of reaction that causes change in rotational time of the molecules. Polarization. Polarization of crystal can be measured using photoluminescence.
Time-based photoluminescence. Charge carrier dynamics in semiconductors. Charge carrier dynamics in semiconductors is determined by the architecture and function of the respective device and directly reflect the nature and quality of the materials. This makes precise and efficient measurement techniques of the free charge carrier's lifetime essential for characterizing these systems. For particular charge carrier, lifetime is highly dependent on the nature and dimension of the material and interfaces involved. Furthermore, the surface effect, passivation and energy transfer efficiency of sensitizers are, as well as presence of dopants, impurities and defect sites can introduce significant variation in this parameter.
Hello guys, today I'll be explaining the basic setup used in photoluminescence spectroscopy. So photoluminescence spectroscopy basically consists of bombarding the given sample by excited light beam, which in turn absorbs a photon. Now after from going back to the ground state from the excited state, this sample releases a photon which in turn causes the photoluminescence. Now in this spectroscopy what we do is we study this absorption emission spectra and then try to deduce what the sample will be. Now if we look at a more detailed version of this explanation, you can come to know that firstly the light used, the excited light, the most common example of this such light is mercury lamp or your classic tungsten neon lamp. Then comes your computer interface, the software which you use to interact with the spectroscope.
In the photoluminescence system composition, apart from excitation, computer interference, etc., the other important parts are the sample holder or the compartment and the emission. Now, the excited atoms and ions in the discharged plasma create a unique emission spectrum specific to each element. Thus, a single element generates numerous characteristic emission spectral lines. The intensity of each emission spectrum depends on the concentration of the element in the sample. Now, detectors measure the presence or absence of the spectrum extracted from each element and the intensity of the spectrum to perform qualitative and quantitative analysis of the elements.
So guys, now let's talk about photoluminescence properties of direct gap semiconductors. So in a typical photoluminescence experiment, a semiconductor is excited with a light source that provides photons with an energy larger than the band gap energy. The excitations undergo energy and momentum relaxation towards the band gap minimum. The photoluminescence properties are also extremely sensitive to the internal electric fields and to the dielectric environment, such as photonic crystals. The detection of photoluminescence is challenging for resonant excitation, as it is difficult to discriminate contributions from the excitations, that is, stray light and diffuse scattering from surface roughness. In case of non-resonant excitation, the structure is excited with some excess energy. So this is typical situation used in most photoluminescence experiments, as the excitation energy can be discriminated using a spectrometer or an optical fiber.
Everyone, as you already know about the photoluminescence spectroscopy, now I would like to tell you about the application of photoluminescence spectroscopy. The first one is detecting ACQ and AIE. ACQ stands for aggregation cause quenching, which is a general phenomenon for many aromatic compounds that states that fluorescence weakens with an increase in the concentration of the solution. While AIE is totally opposite to the ACQ. AIE stands for aggregation induced emission, that states that aggregation plays as a constructive role, not a destructive role in the emission of light. Also, with the help of photoluminescence spectroscopy, we can find the band gap. Band gap is the difference between the various energy levels, and how we can find the band gap is that firstly we'll take the pair distribution, we'll analyze, and through which we'll be able to find the band gap. Okay, so third one is also very important. We can find various defects in the material which we have taken, and also defects can also be found that can be vacancy defects and any other defects which can be found through the photoluminescence spectroscopy. So these all are the application of photoluminescence spectroscopy, and we can easily find it while taking various steps. Thank you.
Start.
Applications of photoluminescence are like room temperature phosphorescence of proteins, room temperature phosphorescence of micelle stabilized aromatics, room temperature phosphorescence of organic on solid substrates, optical sensor for carbon dioxide, clostridial toxin activity, DNA hybridization assay, luminescence based molecular beacons.